Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all having a great day. And if you're new to the channel and want to hit the subscribe button, that would be awesome. I'm on my way to 10K subs by the end of the year. That is the goal, and I know I can do it with your guys' help. So if you're liking the content that I'm producing, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you want to be up to date with the Skyline and future Prelude videos, it helps me out a lot. Hope you all had a fun and safe Labor Day weekend. Just had a very busy weekend working Labor Day weekend and trying to find time to work on both the Skyline and the Prelude, but let me just give you a general update on what has been done the past 4 days. Let's start with the Skyline, of course. As you can tell, in the air, wheels are off. I am currently doing maintenance on the Skyline. What I did 4 days ago was finally install the OEM Nissan fuel filter. Skyline is running better now. The hoses inside were all corroded. Replace these with some gate fuel lines you can just buy like at any auto parts store. Shout out my boy Chris from O'Reilly's for hooking me up with the hoses. Again, got the Nissan fuel filter from Nissan. Was pretty easy. I didn't film it because I just kind of spontaneously did it like at midnight. Take off the brackets, pull the hoses off, take the bracket for the fuel filter off, pull that off, and then managing to get underneath and pulling the bottom brackets and hoses off. Pretty easy. I did run into an issue where I didn't tighten one of the brackets tight enough down on the bottom hose for the fuel filter, and when I went to prime the pump, fuel just shot everywhere off the car, so I spent a good couple of hours degreasing the engine bay in this corner here, but all is well. I didn't film the last time Warren and I made the kit, and shout out to all the good comments. I'm just as hyped as you are to get this paint matched, which we will be setting off today. The other day, Warren and I finally installed the quick latches. Went ahead and utilized the guard here on this bracket for this hole, and took a couple minutes to adjust this little guy here so that the kit sits evenly but doesn't put enough tension on the fiberglass kit. But it all lines up now. It's kind of like flex to fit, but I just have to be super careful not to hit any bumps, because if I do, this kit is going to snap in half when it's mounted. But pretty easy. We just use a small bit and then progressively moved up. It is pretty secure and is very beneficial. For the front bumper, I had to trim this flap a lot. I am going to go back today and just kind of smooth it out. Down here, I shaved off a good 6-7 inches of this flap as well, because it was hitting the intercooler, because my Radiator intercooler is pretty fat. So again, today I'm just gonna go ahead and smooth this out. But other than that, everything fits up well for the front bumper. Rear bumper is pretty much trimmed. I just have to make the mounting holes on the side here, and as well the side skirts, just have to make the mounting holes. I did order some weather stripping to put on, say, this portion of the guard so it doesn't scratch, and that when I wash the car as well, water doesn't seep through the kit. So that should hopefully be arriving sometime today. And for this specific video, we will be installing the Koyo Rad aluminum radiator. Moving on to the Prelude, she's just been chilling. I need to do the sway bar install here pretty soon. Hopefully in the next 3 or so days. Got the end links as well. But look what finally came in after a month and a half from Vertex. My Vertex Hells Racing steering wheel. Ordered this back in early July, and it finally came in the other day. On the back here it says black market. A very high quality steering wheel. The wait time was definitely worth it. Of course, I already have it synced up to my NRG quick release, and it just goes with the theme of the Prelude so well. Couldn't be any more happy. And then this November I will be driving up to California to HMO to be picking up a new motor and transmission, so be on the lookout for that video. And unfortunately, still waiting on StopTech to send me my new rotor for the front and steel braided brake lines. Hopefully those come in soon as well, because that's more content I can put on the channel. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this is going to be my first aluminum radiator install but I watched plenty of YouTube videos and did research on the forums, and it shouldn't be too complex. So what we'll do first is drain the radiator. We'll turn the car onto accessory mode, put it on high heat, low fan speed, so we can open up the heater core to drain more of the coolant out. We'll go ahead and take out the brackets here. I just need to find a new nut for this bolt so we can secure it better. Pop the top and lower rad hoses off. Take the fan shroud off the OEM and put it onto the Koyo. Unplug the temp sensor down there, and then drop everything back in and bleed the system. Here is going to be your bleeder screw for the RB20 intake plenum. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So to accommodate the motor block, we will be using AMSOIL. Read a lot of good reviews about this specific coolant, and we got 6 gallons, so I think all we need is like 2.5, maybe 3, since the radiator is significantly bigger than the OEM. First thing you want to do is take off your splash shield. Consists of 7 10mm bolts. You'll now have everything exposed. On the OEM radiator, your drain is right here. It's just a hand screw style. Okay, so we got the valve off. Pretty simple, just counterclockwise. We'll go ahead and let the rest of the coolant drain out. Also, to relieve more pressure, take off the cap here. Oh yeah, we got a lot more airflow. And we'll go ahead and drain this as well. To get the expansion tank overflow reservoir out, there is a 10 or 12mm bolt just right underneath the driver's side guard. Probably be easy to get it with a extension. So there's actually 2 securing nuts and bolts. So one in the front of the car, and then there's one right underneath here. You can just go ahead and remove your battery tie down, push your battery forward, and you can go ahead and get it right there. Alright, so Warren and I got the OEM radiator out. You do need to remove your clutch fan and blade. Here is the OEM fan shroud. Got some corrosion in here. It's probably a good thing that we are replacing it after 30 years. For the shroud, you got 2 up top, 1 to the right, and 1 to the left. And Koyo is awesome because all of the bolts are already drilled in. So upon further inspection, my OEM AC condenser is corroding, but good thing I don't use AC anyways, but I'm just gonna still keep it in there. I'm just gonna go ahead and clean what I can, and then we'll go ahead and drop the new radiator in. So before we put the Koyo in, here's a comparison. Thin boy and one thick boy. Yeah. Goodness. Well, she held up for a good 30 years. Let's go ahead and put the fan shroud on and reinstall everything else. Alright, so we got the Koyo Rad radiator in. I'm not running my fan shroud because when it's on to the Koyo Rad, since it is a lot thicker, it comes in contact with the intercooler piping, and I try to do measurements and adjusting it accordingly, but it just wasn't having it. So in time, when I do RB25, or even if I buy a front facing plenum and delete this whole piping here, I'll go ahead and run the fan shroud, or might even go electric fan. Let me know your opinions on e-fans. Fitment is honestly pretty good for the most part. It fits a lot better since there's no shroud in it, but I got the overflow expansion tank back in cleaned. Yeah, I'm sure this is okay, but if anything, I'll just go ahead and cut where the radiator starts so we can kind of minimize that compressing there. I triple checked all of the clamps here, making sure that they are tight. Intercooler piping back on. Gonna go ahead and fill the expansion tank and then go ahead and fill the radiator. I highly recommend using these spill-free This will help diminish air into the system, and it's just overall a good investment. We'll also take out the bleeder screw here while we're filling it to push air out of the system. So we're gonna take a quick intermission with the radiator. I do need to stop by O'Reilly's again and pick up the same kit because the attachment I need for the radiator I don't have. Bro, we're hangry too. Also on our way back, or on our way to get food, we're gonna drop off the BN Sports kit to John. Let's head out. Little food vlog on the go. Got some Texas toast, got some chicken fettuccine alfredo. Warren got some cheese pizza with bacon and Canadian, pepperoni and Canadian bacon. Itadakimasu. Mushi mushi. All right, so we just dropped off the kit to John. Thank you so much, John. Hit him up. I'll leave his Instagram in the description below for any painting needs. I forgot the gas door, so he's gonna pick that up tonight. And he gave me an estimate time of, say, 1.5 to 2 weeks, just because it is a specific old custom Nissan color, and I just have plenty of work still to do on the Skyline, so 2 weeks should be more than enough time for me to get everything done. We are back home from the paint shop. Made a stop to O'Reilly's because I need to pick up another funnel. I lost all the components I needed for the Skyline specifically, so I just went ahead and bought new one, 30 bucks at O'Reilly's. I am going to be going E-fan. It's got to hardwire it up and run it through a controller with a 20 amp fuse. Might need some help with that since wiring is not my specialty. But we're gonna go ahead now and drain or bleed the cooling system. So put the funnel on with the coolant, let it flow in naturally while keeping the bleeder screw out to push out any excess air. We'll keep doing that until a little bit of coolant comes out of here. We'll run the car on full heat, on full fans. Close this up, let this again cycle through, check for any leaks, and then crack open the bleeder valve one more time, let some coolant seep out, shut it, repeat it a couple times, and be able to put the radiator cap back on, and hopefully we'll be good. Okay, so we got the Skyline naturally bleeding itself. We got a little bit of bubbles coming out of the funnel, but nothing too much. Again, since the core is bigger, it is taking a little bit longer for the temp sensor to read, but the radiator itself is pretty warm, as well as the hose is now. If we go in here, the gauge is almost where it should be. We got 32 degrees Celsius, which is max heat, and the fan's on max speed as well. So I'm gonna let it run just a little bit more. We'll go ahead and crack the bleeder so a little bit of coolant comes out, and then we'll go ahead and shut it real quick. But so far, so good. All right. Cooling system, I would say, has been successfully bled. Got as much as the air bubbles as the system would let me. A good 20 minutes from car on to car off. 15 minutes consisted, of course, with the funnel on. Once the car was at temperature, open the bleeder screw, let coolant seep out until it was like a smooth flow, which would signify that there's no more bubbles in the system. Put the cap back on, let it run for another 5 minutes. Check the thermostat on the car, no overheating, which is good. No leaks, double checked all the hoses. I'm going to see if I can potentially cut this down like I mentioned earlier so it doesn't have that weird crimp in it. Yeah, because the core is bigger, which pushes back more. But I think that's okay. The hose is still hot and still did its job. So far, everything is good. I'm gonna bleed it one more time another day. So again, I would say a very successful install. Thank you so much, Warren, and thank you so much, Harry from the internet on Instagram, for always being so helpful and knowledgeable with the R32 chassis. I really appreciate it, man, if you watch the videos. So like I mentioned in the last clip, I will be bleeding the system out one more time tomorrow or the next day whenever I have free time, just to ensure that all of the air and or bubbles are out of the system. But like I mentioned, let the car run for a total of 20 minutes and no overheating. but I guess it'll be different once I finally drive this car, because I haven't even driven the Skyline yet with the Greddy oil cooler, and I checked all the lines too, and everything is up to par, so I'm content with that. But in terms of aftermarket parts, that's all I have to install. Finally got the fuel pump in, or fuel filter, like I mentioned, got the radiator on. I do need to install my Tomy high flow fuel pump, but I'm kind of nervous because there's already so many goodies this car came with. I'm pretty sure I have like a Nismo high flow fuel pump already, because it sounds like it pumps really efficiently, and it's also pretty loud too. And we did drop again the kit off to John. That's going to be a good 2-week lead time, since he needs to scan the paint, order the paint, test spray the paint, match it up, send it to me, see if I feel it's pretty close. And if it's pretty close, I'm just gonna go ahead and send it. I told him if he could I asked him if he could add a bunch of layers of clear coat, since the kit does sit super low, and I'm gonna try my absolute best not to scratch anything on it. And he's gonna put 3 layers of clear coat, and then once that's all cured, when I get it back, I'm gonna go ahead and ceramic coat kit and the whole car one more time, and also the Ganondorf mirrors. Just waiting on the D-Max front guards, coming in October. More fiberglass work, bolted up, driller holes into paint, and then with our D-Max wing, line that up, do what we gotta do, send that to John as well. And within this next 2 to 3 weeks, we have some maintenance parts to install. So new valve cover gaskets left and right, and new moon seals as well. We got the new belts we have to install, or I have to install. Waiting on my Nissan OEM water pump. Just trying to get this RB20 bulletproof and as mechanically sound as possible. There's no issues on it, thank God. Cross my fingers everything is good. And then within the next 2 weeks, I have an appointment to install my front and rear spoon rigid collar set, and also my polyurethane rear subframe bushings that Eden Customs will be taking care of for me, since I don't have a lot of time to do so and or the space, and they have a lift which will make things significantly easier. And hopefully by that time my wheels from Japan will be here, so I can test fit them, redial in the rear camber to get like -1 to 2 degrees, and then get the car realigned, because after you install the rigid collars and the rear suffering bushings, the car is going to raise itself, and then I can get my perfect alignment specs. Tyler said he'll do his absolute best like he always does. Whew. So a lot coming towards the end of this year. Hope to have the car completed by honestly November. Still got to order the turbo manifold, top mount, and injectors. Have Evan tune the Skyline, and I'm hoping to push around 280, 300 crank, because that's just more than enough for me, and I think that's very streetable, very streetable. So a lot to come. Hope you all are excited, and once the Skyline is there, we'll put the Skyline on the back burner and start focusing on the Prelude again. So I'm stoked on that. But thank you everybody again so much for your continuous support. And if you're new to the channel and you want to hit the subscribe button, that'd be awesome. And remember, aim high, drive low. We'll catch you next video. Take care.